Yo yo yo, what's up everyone? As you can see, we are back with some league racing again, and this time at the VRL race. So we were gonna race at Sandwood this time, and we have qualified P5, so that's not a bad position. But qualifying was always our weakness, and whatever we do, we capitalize in the race round. So let's see what we can do from here.
Wow. We start new we special track. So
So it's lights out and away we go. UK gets a poor start. We get a relatively good start, and we get sandwiched between Cuba Ravi and UK, and they just had a crash. So I really don't know what could have done. I already lifted up the throttle. I couldn't hard brake as there were cars behind. So let's see what the stewards have to say about that later in the race. But now moving on to the race, it's a virtual safety car right now, and yes, the two Alfa Romeos ahead are very quick. So these boys are one of the quickest in this league race, and let's see what we can do from here. So lap at the end of lap one, BSC has ended now, and we are just behind Eccentric and the end of lap 2. You can see that these Alfa Romeos are already 2 seconds ahead. We just didn't had any pace in the initial stint of this race, and Siknik and Big Mancho, who are another quick driver, were already catching us behind. So we had to do the defensive thing again and again and again. So end of lap 3. Now Siknik will have the DRS advantage. You can see how quick the DRS is here, and from 4th 5 tenths to directly 2 tenths of the gap. Lap 4 again. This time around Siknik is very close already, and he gets the DRS again. He activates it, and with the help of slipstream, I think he used a lot of ERS as well, because you will see that his lights would be blinking, and we just had to manage our ERS because the ERS regeneration on this track is quite difficult. So once you are below that 10% margin, you won't have that much of the ERS advantage in the race later on. So now lap 5. This time around we get the DRS advantage, but we are not using much of our ERS, and we would be just saving a lot of it, just because in the latter part of the race we will require it, and you will see ahead how important the ERS management is in this game. And Siknik's lights are already blinking. It does mean that he is below 10% of the ERS. So he has used all of his juice right now, and we have a lot of it. So we are just using his pace to our advantage and trying to catch the guys ahead, and just maintain the race pace overall for the first stint. So this was a relatively good stint, I would say, after like Siknik passed me on the track. So we had to just keep our nose clean and make sure we don't spin or have any incidents. So that's this part of the race is quite crucial when it comes to uh, complete the race and have a relatively clean race than others. So yeah, and at the exit of final corner, you see that we are trying to overtake him now, because I think we thought that we had the pace, but uh, overtaking at Zandvoort is quite difficult. So we decide again not to overtake him on track. So our ERS regeneration is back. We
Okay,
were
clear.
already some 40% and then we gained around 70%. So
The safety car is
that's
out.
really good.
We need you
But
to
then
reduce
a
your
safety
pace.
car
It looks like there's a
appears
high amount of debris on the track.
and
Check your MFD for a
it
new
just shake up
strategy option.
the whole field. But for us, it doesn't matter. We were gonna do for the two stop strategy. So yes, coming down into the pit lane, and Siknik gets a 5-second penalty, which actually helps us. And we also pit. Can we jump him in the pits?
Go, exit now.
No,
We're racing
because
on the exit.
he,
Go, go,
he will
go.
be serving his penalty in the latter part of the race when he pits. So you can't serve
Okay,
it right
stay
now.
clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a
So
penalty for
we
dangerous
decide
driving
to
if you
go
cross
on
over into the
mediums,
track.
which would go for like around 20 or 18 or 20 laps. So that's really when the softs would come into play after that. So now lap 10, the safety car will be in this lap, and we get a good exit out of the corner one, last corner, and we tried to overtake Signic, but we decided to back off because he was on the fresher tires and fresher soft tires, which are basically good enough to beat um,
Green flag.
mediums on this track particularly. So we don't fight him a lot and we let him by and just keep our calm behind these two boys who already have 5 seconds of penalty. So we knew that we had a advantage in this race and keep our head down and complete the race. So we were in a really good position. So skipping down to the end of lap 19, we managed to keep our pace on track, the race pace, and we just pulled out like four
We're
seconds
slowly
to
gaining on
Big
the car
Man
in
Joe,
front. Try to keep this momentum.
who is on the same medium tires as us, and Siknig ahead is on the soft tires, which are nearly at the crossover point where the mediums should be faster than the softs. So but the defense part is so good over here that you can place your car very well on track and defend your position. You can see he is struggling at the corners where he has a relatively less grip than us, and we get the DRS now to our advantage. We don't use any of the ERS and just try to close down the gap to him. So coming down to the sector 3 final few corners, he really goes wide. He is really struggling to get at the exit of the corners. So we decide to overtake him on this lap as we are already very close to him using a little bit of ERS and getting the DRS advantage. His lights are blinking. He tries to leave on the track, but with the help of slipstream, it's so powerful that we do make our move
Yellow
in
flag.
turn 1 right now. So yes, we were ahead of him with a quite a good gap, but we see a blue flag. I don't know who
Okay,
that was,
clear.
but he was on track, and I had fear that the ghosting was off or something. So I had to move wide, which lost us like 3 tenths, I think. So the advantage we had on Siknik was already gone. So this time around in sector 2, he is behind us. He gets the DRS and he would be enjoying the toe advantage that you get over here. So we are in a really bad shape right now with very less ERS. And I think at this point we just had to pull each other away so that we can catch eccentric ahead. And I don't use any of my ERS. I just stay calm on track and do not defend it very hard. So this is the part when we had to work together to to catch the guys ahead. So end of lap 22, we are closing it on eccentric, but by with a very low margin. So I think that wasn't working, and we had to try to overtake him on the inside, but he defends it really well with the late braking moves. So this was really cool to have such a good race and a clean wheel to wheel with Siknig after a really long time.
Caution, caution. Green flag.
So this time around we are much closer than before, and we try to line up our moves again. So we are already like 2 tenths behind him with the slipstream again. I just can't say how how many times I've said slipstream in this race, but yes, it is that powerful. And we go down the
Be aware we
inside.
expect the
He
grip
gets a
levels to start
relatively
falling
good
wasted.
exit on the outside as the banking really helped here. So yes, this was really tough race right now, and we had to overtake him at this point because we are just quicker than him, but overtaking here is quite difficult. And yeah, so the only opportunity is turn one. So another chance we get, and now we are 1/10 behind him than the previous few laps. So this time we don't make any
Quick
errors,
crossing this
and
lap.
we just
Give us the best
full
in-lap you
send it
can.
into turn one. So we have the track position right now, and
Expect to
but
see
we
somewhere
lost
about
a
10
lot
to
of time
15
to
minutes from
eccentric,
now.
who
Dries
is
seem
in
like the
P1 right
fastest
now.
tyre at the moment.
So it's lap 25, and we decide to pit for softs. And I think Siknik will serve his 5 seconds penalty, and he had to go for the mediums. So he
Go,
was
go, go.
out of the
You'll be
race
racing on
now.
the exit. Go,
So
go now.
for the race win, I can say, and not for the race. So
Look after these tyres
we
now.
are
We
in
want
a
to finish
really
the
good
race on this
position, but you
compound.
can see Big Man Joe is still out on track, and I don't think he would be pitting now because the undercut here is so powerful that you gain around 1.5 or 2 seconds per lap. So only 10 laps left into the race, and we had to catch Big Man Joe, who was 12 seconds ahead of us.
The gap to
So
the car
it's like
behind is
1 second per lap,
3.1 seconds.
the pace advantage we had, but maybe we'll have to full push into the race and cover up the gap to him. So next lap, 27, we are already 8.5 seconds behind him,
Good job. That was the
and
fastest lap of
eccentric
the
is
race so
ahead
far.
of us for like 1.7 seconds. So he had pitted and he also served his 5 seconds. So that's like he is in net P1 right now. But Big Man Joe, who is ahead, I don't think he won't be pitting now because the rain was forecasted at the end of the
Okay,
race.
gap
So
ahead is
let's see
2.2
what we can do
seconds.
from here. Coming down into the sector 2, we see that eccentric spun, and yes, that's an easy P2 for us. So this is what I meant, like if
Okay,
you
clear.
have raw pace, it's always good, but keeping it consistent on track also matters a lot. So end of lap 28, and we are around 7 seconds behind Big Man Joe. So we gained like 1.2 seconds in this lap as well. So we had the pace and we were closing in on him, but you can see the clouds are hovering and again by the end
Gap
of
to
next
car in
lap
front is
we are like
6.0 seconds. They're on
5.5
old
seconds
mediums. Their
behind him.
tyres are 21 laps old. The time last lap was a
Eccentric behind is charging,
1:14.5. You're taking
and he
1.8
just
seconds
covered
out
the
of the
gap
next
from
lap.
5 seconds to 4 seconds, and we are catching Big Manjo ahead. So we are gaining 1 second per lap, but
This
it's
pace is
really
strong,
crucial
but be
to
aware
not
your
make
tyres
any
need to go
mistake.
the distance. We're leading our
And
teammate
we are
by
using a lot of ERS in
47.4
between the
seconds.
laps, which I have not shown, just showing you the later end of the laps. So yes,
We have 5 laps of fuel remaining.
4 laps to go into this race, and you see that it's raining already. It was light showers initially, but softs were still the better tires to race on, and all the advantage we had with the soft tires is already going off because
Rain started.
any tires, any dry tires in the wet conditions are
Yes.
kind of same. So
Okay,
we'll still have to push
quite 2 minutes.
and catch the guy ahead.
Let me know when you pick.
Okay, clear.
We had a major advantage at every corners where we used to gain like 3 to 4 tenths against the Red Bull of Big Man Joe because the softs were relatively good
I think we're
than the
still on the right
mediums.
tyres for the time being.
Obviously, because Big Man Joe is already on like 24 laps old medium tires, and we do have 8 laps old soft tires, which are much stickier and which would actually suit this type of conditions where it's dry on track but it's raining. It's slightly raining, so he had that advantage right now, and
Ready for enters?
we are already
No.
behind him, and we caught him like 1.5 seconds this lap, and we almost had a half spin. Managed to save that very well. My teammate decides to quit right now for inters, but I think he made a blunder by selecting the wrong
What are you
tires,
putting
and
on?
he was out
They
on
put me on softs.
softs
Oh fuck! I
again.
forgot to select.
So uh,
Softs are still good.
we had no idea how the inters would work
Why
right
did
now.
why did I pick? I
So
already bought on soft.
uh, we had to take the gamble and just stay out on track and drive this till the end. I was really struggling, and it started to rain heavily right now. I think everyone was struggling right now because of the traction and braking point.
Oh no,
There's
no
3
So
laps
we
pickup.
of fuel
are
remaining.
really close to Big Man Joe in sector 2 now,
There's
and we
been an
have that
incident
gap
on
of
track,
around
but
7
officials aren't
tenths,
looking to
8
push for a
tenths.
safety car right now.
We
Just be
still
careful.
have the DRS advantage. I don't know why the DRS was still on. I think the raining gods decided that it wasn't wet enough to switch off the DRS. So help us, you can say. You can see now the
Did you
spray
pit?
has increased a lot, and it was really wet now. It was really wet, and this was our only chance to overtake him because there won't be any other due to this wet condition. But now coming down to the exit of last corner, we get the DRS. We use all of
Okay,
our
the stewards have
ERS,
now
but then
disabled
the
the
DRS
others.
was
DRS is
disabled,
now
and we go
disabled.
down the inside. It was a late lunge, but we managed to stick around on track. We are still side by side, but with the better tires and with better stickier compounds, we just managed to overtake Big Man Joe in one of the most trickiest conditions ever. This was something really like the real life Russian GP which we had where Norris and Hamilton had a duel. So I was pretty happy with my performance right now, but we still have a race to win. So right now we don't need to do anything and we just had to keep our race clean. That was our main goal. And we can see that eccentric behind is catching Big Man Joe, who is on the same set of soft tires as us. And Dub behind has pitted 20 seconds. He is the gap between us and P4, but he is on the inters, which would be like 12 to 15 seconds faster. But we make an error, and this was the only warning in the whole race, and we get a 5
Seriously,
second for no reason. uh, this game is hardcore to you know punish people around, so we can still get that penalty removed, so that's not an issue. But now we just have to keep our race clean.
This is your final lap.
And
Final lap of
you
the
can
race.
see Dub behind. He has already covered like 7 seconds of the gap. It was 20 and now it's already 12, and end of lap 36, I mean end of lap 35, he is like 10 seconds behind, so the pace advantage is there for the Inters. And you can see how hard it's to drive over here on these dry compounds. And I was constantly looking at the delta between me and the guys behind
There's
who
only
are
one
on
lap of
Inters,
fuel
so
remaining.
Inters were really good at this point. But I have no idea how we managed to keep it clean. And Gouts, who was a lap behind, tries to unlap us, and you see the pace difference between the softs and the inters. So that's how quick the inters were. And in the span of like three corners, Turb gained around 5 seconds again. We are at the final few corners. So Derp and Eccentric had a collision, which actually helps us to pull away like for 2 tenths or so. Now at the final corner, we get a really bad exit,
Yellow
but
flag.
Derp had a really good exit,
Someone's
and
come off
it's a
ahead.
drag race down
Yellow
to the
flag
finish
ahead.
line. But he ran out of fuel.
let's go, bhai. Woo.
You won.
Yes.
Yeah,
I had
boss.
that 5 seconds, but whew, I,
Tell me, tell me there won't
holy
be any issues.
shit. Fucking hell.
So that was really lucky.
That
Uh,
was so
I think
close, man. So
my
close.
consistency the whole race and a little bit of luck in the end of the race
Oh my
really helped
god.
me to win this one. So I
That
really
was a really.
enjoyed this race. There was no doubt about it. I did enjoy the race and had so much fun. It was
Bhai,
so
last two
clean as
laps
well.
were.